What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Bass Fishing for Noobs. I'm Susie Q.
Hey guys, it's Sean. Happy to be back.
That's right. So, yeah, we've definitely had our fair share of life events, we could say. Yeah, just kind of short, brief summary for you guys that may not have known. My husband Adam was in the hospital this last week and a half. His appendix decided to just totally obliterate, from what the staff said. So it was a little bit scary for me. Of course, Adam was none the wiser because he was put out for the whole procedure. It's supposed to be a simple hour procedure. It wasn't. It was a 4.5-hour procedure because they had to resection things and whatnot. So, yeah. But we're home. He's doing good. He's getting better each day. He's going to have a pretty cool looking scar. Yeah. I think I've finally caught up on sleep.
Oh, is that a thing? Can you even do that?
I know, right? Sleep? What's that? Yeah, no.
Well, we're super happy to hear that he is doing better. I know it was a touch and go there for a bit. I'm sure that had to be overwhelming. It's interesting though that he had no clue, because I guess you take that for granted. You go to sleep and you wake up and time passed like an instant. But unfortunately, the people not under that anesthesia are, like you said, pacing 10,000 miles in the hospital. So
Yep, pretty much. So, but yeah, we were pretty thankful for, getting there when we did. Everything turned out for the better, from what the doctor was saying. It could have been worse. I'm glad it wasn't. Yeah, but definitely glad to be home. And just, up on the mend too. But yeah, you had a pretty cool episode. This past Monday you were out on the water?
I tried that and
your gear and whatnot. So yeah, I kind of like that different viewpoint there. That was pretty cool.
We'll have to try that again sometime. Hopefully I can catch up a few more fish this time. I was a little bummed. I only got one on camera. Of course, as soon as my battery died, then I caught probably like 2 or 3 in that same area right where I was. But it could have been that I was not focused 100% on fishing either.
But. Yeah. Need to get you a like a battery box thing that'll keep you.
I had one, but it of course, my daughter didn't tell me that she used it, the week before and totally drained it. So I assumed it was fully charged when I grabbed it off the table, but
oh no,
I found out when I plugged it in that it was not so much. So, because I was planning on going, as long as people were still watching. So
yeah,
but yeah. I wanted to take one quick second to show off this.
Ooh.
Bam!
Oh, shoot! What is that?
So this was for the Kayak Anglers of Central PA. We won the team AOI for kayak anglers. So this bad boy is hanging out with me for the next year. I was super proud of our team. They totally represented. And so out of the, 6 or 7 chapters of Kayak Anglers, our team came out on top. And that was the first time our team has won AOI. So, I'm super proud of our guys. And our one of our members won the overall AOI for the, for Kayak Anglers as well. So
nice.
we took the top 2 awards at the award ceremony, so that was pretty cool.
Heck yeah, dude, that's awesome.
I need to get a shelf back there, so it's a little more visible, but
right,
we will work on that.
Heck yeah. I got some winter projects I'll be working on, putting up stuff behind me, because my fish thing is above me, and as my husband,
you get to see it, right? But nobody else does.
Nobody else does. So I'm like, yeah, that's a good point. I'll move it. Oh, but yes, we have a special guest today. So those of you who follow the Bass Fishing for Noobs on our Facebook page, we had our championship where each month's winner and if they wanted to, our previous championship winners could come back and choose one day out of 5 days to choose from to compete to take home the title of Noob Champion. And without further ado, that is none other than Mr. Andrew Watson.
Hey guys.
Hey, congrats, man.
Thanks.
Welcome
Congrats
to
on
the
that
Noob Show
AOI.
too. Oh yeah, thank you, man. That's it's fun, but welcome to the Noob Show.
Yeah,
I'm
this
sure
is amazing. I was like, I feel like I should be in my truck driving to work on Monday morning.
So
Well,
tell us a little bit about yourself, how you found out about the Noob Show, the Noobs Facebook page, et cetera, kind of what you've learned from it, what you like most about it, et cetera, that type of thing.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So like I think, with the kayak fishing part of it, I was in a canoe, and you'd see I wasn't real big in YouTube or Facebook or anything, but on TV, you'd see Chad Hoover had a show, Drew Gregory had a show, and I think Gene Salmons, had a show. He did a lot of saltwater stuff, and I was like, I'm gonna start using a kayak pedal on that canoe, and then I was like, oh, I want a kayak, eventually, I think it was the end of 2017. My boss is like, "Hey, what kayak do you want? I want to get it for you for Christmas, And I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What?
Wow.
You kidding?" And I was like, "Well, it's a little. I think I was looking at maybe a wilderness." So he's like, "Is that what you really want?" And at the time that Kusa Pro HD, it came with like the Ray Marine and the power pole, that I didn't really know anything. I was like, well, yeah, I'll shoot for that one. He's like, yeah, and it shipped to the house, and just love the thing. I started looking at the YouTube stuff. I was like, oh, these guys are on YouTube too. Kind of classic. Found the Fluke Master, Gene Jensen stuff. I was like, oh, you can listen to this on the radio, on the podcast. And those things. Hey, you might also like. And Paddle and Fin just like really turned into a big favorite. Just a lot of different shows and. You could be listening to something about, river smallmouth, and that's not what I do, but, reading water or something like it, that little piece, that's going to be something for me, I think like one of the early ones I listened to, Dan Perry was on, and he like had the spreadsheet, and talking about
spreadsheet Dan.
Bang Stick Nico, with the Z-Man weight, and it was kind of like right around pre-spawn time or something like that, and that was like the first time I was catching spawn and, bigger fish. And I'm like, well, hey, there's something to this, and I really got into it, so awesome. The truck runs on podcasts for sure.
Awesome. So, and how long have you been fishing for? Like a lifelong fisherman,
as a kid, when we could with Dad, Mom and Dad are from Central Florida, like Winter Haven area, Polk County there, and Dad's mom worked at Bagley's, in Lake Alfred, way back in the day, Dad retired from the Navy, but growing up, so he'd be gone, but when he was home, some bank fishing, we'd go down to Florida, get in the boats with the grandparents and stuff like that. And, 18, got out of the house, want to do that thing for a little while and finally get head on straight. I think I got back into it around 2005 or so. Father-in-law started taking me out and, it's just been going since then.
And what part of the country do you live in now? Like, where do you
fish? I'm in North Augusta, South Carolina right now, I think.
Oh, South Carolina. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah. Gotcha. Right there, close to Augusta, on the Savannah River, close to Clark's Hill.
Okay. So you fish mostly river there or lakes or saltwater?
So I don't go up to the lake very much with the kayak anymore. The way this little, the part of the river right below, the lake and above the next spillway about 13 miles down, the way it sets up, I just love it. It's a little too stumpy for boats, but like 20-foot channel, a lot of grass, and I just repeatedly fish that over and over again. Yeah, I'm like 7 miles from the house. I could go to lake. I'm looking to get out a little bit more next year, but I really like it. I kind of forgot your question, to be honest.
Oh, no, that's all good, man. No, I was just wondering what kind of waters you fish, and what you prefer. Like what?
Yeah,
you
so that's what it is. So like the thing about this place is you got the runoff from the Clarks Hill Dam, or whether they're back generating. So it's like a re-regulation reservoir, about 2,400 acres, and the water goes up and down 3 to 5 feet every day.
Wow.
So it can go, it's either going this way or going that way, and it's kind of predictable. It kind of follows last year, but weather events will change it, stuff like that. But it keeps the water correct the rest of the way down the river to Savannah, about another 150 miles down.
Gotcha. So it's lake-like, but it has, I would think, with water moving like that, you get current.
It's lake and river combined, kind of. So it does have current for sure.
Interesting. That's the kind of the best of both worlds.
Really comes in handy with the spot lock to hold you there.
Very cool. Very cool. And what are you paddling now? Do you still have the Kusa?
Yeah, I still have the Kusa.
Nice.
Nice. I put the XI3 on it a couple years ago. That was tricky, because that nose is kind of fun.
Yeah, I was going to say, I had that was my second kayak was a Kusa HG, and I loved it. But yeah, I was picturing it in my head. I'm like, man, that had to be a tricky install.
Yeah, I had to make like a little metal bracket, and use those rod tusks. I used those holes and use the handle holes, for that piece of cutting board on that, and that motor mount on that, and plugs and hatches.
Yep.
With the battery in the crate. So
gotcha. Well, very cool. So what led you to fishing the Noobs tournaments? Have you had much tournament experience prior to that, or anything?
I tried some of the KBF monthlies, and very middle of the pack, on those. And we had some local stuff going here, like Central Savannah River area, kind of local. And I think that trail fizzled out, but I tried a couple of their onlines and one one-day event, where you could pick anywhere from Clarks Hill all the way down to Savannah, just about, But yeah, no, those have never gone too well.
So, what month did you end up winning to get to the championship? Do you remember?
I do believe it was March.
Yep.
Ooh, so early. Okay.
Yeah. And this is something I kind of figured out last year a little bit. I think I got in a little bit late last year. Was the first year, I started hearing about it. But, so for us, that's spawn, pre-spawn, it's almost over, is what I'm figuring out on the river, you really want to, it's not, this year it warmed up quick and then it got cold, and you could I think it was Reel Down I was listening to today, but like the bigger ones, they start early, and I was like, oh man, they don't want to start this in February, because you kind of get a leg, some places I'm not even fishing yet,
Right. I was just going to say that in March, we're still hoping that it's going to warm up enough to be out on the water.
Yeah. You never know what March is going to be like.
Then we get October here, and it's still we just like maybe 2 weeks ago got done with dog days.
Wow.
And, like low dissolved oxygen, like they get sluggish and hard to find, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to catch 5 fish, but November has kind of like been my PB month,
Yeah.
So.
That's probably, now how cold does it get there? Like what's the coldest it will be?
Like the coldest I've seen the water like in the high 50s,
wow.
And it'll get hot in the summer, but with the deeper spots and stuff, you can get the lower temperatures for a while. But I think the whole thing with the grass, there's a lot of grass, a lot of stumps, old stumps. It was impounded in like 1910. So that's standing timbers, and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I think with all the grass, there's that thing where you get too much grass and it's like stealing the oxygen for the water. And the summer gets tricky, and I'm still trying to figure that out.
I was going to say, it sounds like a very interesting fishery. Like it has a lot of different kind of
Yeah,
characteristics
That's a
there.
variety.
That's why I like sticking to it. It's like
Yeah.
it's something I want to try. I can kind of try it, or
I was going to say,
you can
it's
figure
going to
things
help you
out,
in a lot of different
figure other stuff
situations.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be able to take that experience and go elsewhere and probably do fine.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, I wish March was a good month for me, but usually that's still
Yeah,
fighting
no,
that.
that's like dry suit and all that,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
I like slow down around the holidays. It just kind of gets busy. I do restaurant work, and it's holiday time, but really try to get back going in January. But it'll get windy and stuff like that. And nah, I ain't going out there. Got a rule of 120. And I'm like, I stay
yeah.
pretty dry, but
Yes.
not today.
Yeah, no, it definitely and I don't know about you, Susie, but here it's starting to get pretty cold at nights. Like we're getting down in the 40s at nights in Pennsylvania here. And even our daytime highs today was probably the warmest day this week, and it was only in the low 60s. So
wow. We've had really weird weather this week. So like the beginning of the week, it started like I think it was 60s, and then what day was it? Was it Thursday? Was it Wednesday or Thursday? I don't remember. My days have all blended into one.
I'm sure it's a blur. Yeah.
It was like 80. I was just like,
wow.
What? Yeah, it was bizarre. And then, of course, today we had this massive front come through and just dump a bunch of rain. And my temperature thing says it's 62 out. And then I think it's like a low of like 40 something tonight, I think. Like this weekend is like super windy, highs in the low 50s. Like it's definitely fall. It makes me kind of sad because I really wanted to go to Banner again. But I'm like, yeah, no, I want to enjoy my time and not be miserable the entire time. But yeah, we're looking at 40s for lows like the next week or so. So yeah, it's definitely fall.
Well, I think your front is hitting us tomorrow because we're going to be rain. Tomorrow's kind of a wash. It's going to be rainy all day, it looks like. So, and it's like a 90% chance. So it's not even like I'll be like, maybe if it breaks a little bit, I'll head out. But yeah.
So yeah, Andrew, I know. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So yeah, I was just gonna say. So I liked how you were pretty interactive with other noobs on the Facebook page. Your different post encouragement and everything. So tell us a little bit about how you prepared for the Noobs Championship and what led to your overall winning.
Sure. So I got that. I knew in March I qualified, and kind of my focus, I was just like, okay, well, let's figure it out a little bit more. How are we going to get 5 fish in one day? I just wanted to put up a limit, and I kind of spent the summer doing that. And, knowing, of course, things aren't going to be the same in October, but not real big with the electronics. I got a hook too, but the thing I have started doing more of is using the navionics part of it and the topography and figuring some stuff out. Like I already know this is a good place. How does this match to? Is there another thing? And then starting catching fish. And throwing some icons in there with some dates and. Yeah, after a while, it kind of like the Google Photos map too. After a while, it starts showing like little hot spots and stuff like that. So I had a couple spots figured out, in the past couple of weeks, where I felt like, okay, I can go in and get that limit of fish. There's a bunch of 14s right there. That's going to work. And that actually didn't work. I had a little problem with that spot, but
best laid plans. That's how it goes, of course, right?
Yeah. But what I decided to do was just pick 3 spots. 3 major spots. I got 435 minutes, and I kind of just split the day up into quarters. and I gave them all 90 minutes because I'm more than happy to go out there all day and just, pick apart this little area. It's not happening, whatever, try to force everything at them. And I just kind of needed to rein in my focus. So I need a schedule, so I had a little main area, and 8:30 in the morning, that wacky rig, it's gotten me so many PBs, up against the stump, and it went off, and I'm like, it's catfish, or is this real? Is this happening? This is happening. And, there's a big log laying along, so it took a little finesse. Yeah, I had to work it on down to the end of that log, get back on around there. And I was, wow, okay, and this is going to be great. And yeah, I had the time for that area, and nothing else came together in there. And I said, okay, I'm gonna move on up to the mouth and try that, and nothing there. And I was eager to get to that spot in the grass, and that's when it got weird. Yeah, so the current coming down, it has spots, a couple little stumps in a hole, and it wasn't happening. But I was feeling bite, and I got this old Mock Crush. I love the thing. That's my Texas rig rod, and I was like, is this real? Just finally giving up. It felt like it was going backwards a little bit, and I was like, what is going on? And I hooked fish, it come off. I lost 3 fish there, and another one on the way back. And they're just at one point, the whole end of the Mag 2 curly tail was gone. I was like, they're just not that committed to it. I tried making it shorter, so I left there, and the plan was to revisit the mouth, and actually did find one out there at a little 10.5, and it's like 130 now. I'm getting kind of discouraged, but it had knocked the little worm off. And I was like, okay, well, I put another one on. I'm going to put a new worm on, and this hook isn't right. And early in the morning, back in that main area, I had a bad little snag, and I kind of heaved toe on it a little bit, but I got down there and got it out, and just continued fishing the rest of the day with a bent hook. And that was really the first time I'd experienced, where that mattered so much. Just that little bend, it just wouldn't set the hook. They would suck it in and spit it back out, I guess.
Wow.
And I was kind of a little upset after that. I was like, man, you just did this whole thing over a bent hook. And the plan was to go back down to the main area, and I left myself like 75 minutes of like crunch time, where I was gonna like revisit, okay, where this was working, or the best spot, but I didn't really have any of that. I had 3 fish for like under 37 inches, so I gave up on the main area, and I just kind of looked around a little bit. Though it was windier than I wanted it to be, and I just kind of picked a wind-blown point that I knew might have some little fish, and I think it was 251. And I hooked up maybe like a 12-inch fish or something like that. I was like, all right, I got 4, I got time. And I looked to stumps left, right, and I was like, let's go right, and hooked one up, and that one ended up that's the best fish of the day for me, because it was like the 5th one, and it was under 16 inches, but it made the limit. And then I got a little confused with myself. I was like, oh, I got to get this submitted by 3 o'clock, and I'm real quick trying to get it sent into Attorney X, forgetting I think we had till 5 for that or something like that. But so after that, I was like, man, yeah, you could have caught maybe one more fish off of that. But I was happy. I didn't even realize where it quite had me, and there was still more time to fish. But I was just happy to have the 5 fish, I was like, it's not a lot. It's 75 inches, but it's respectable. And, but I really felt like, it's definitely up for grabs.
Heck yeah. And I mean, I was sharing your comments in the Noobs channel. You had sent a couple of pictures.
Yeah.
And I loved how you had like the different alarms set and everything. You're like, in quarter 2, in quarter 3, and then crunch time.
Yeah. And I, originally I was like, there were like 90-minute quarters. And I was like, I'm going to do 3 30-minute timers, or maybe get a stopwatch or something. No, that's just too much. It's just too much, just one per. It was like 10 minutes, like a little 10-minute warning time. Hey, if you're not already moving there, you need to start thinking about it, but, and I kind of, when I was thinking, don't leave the fish to find the
I was
fish
just going to say that.
I had that, I had like a bunch of little things written down. I've been trying to cast quieter this year, because I still kind of
plop it.
I don't pitch and flip too good, but I've learned how to break real good, like lower it and slow it. It works, but it could work better, but, the timers were a big deal for me. I probably would have, stayed right around that stump in the morning where I caught that big one, just waiting for 5 more big ones to materialize out of nowhere. But that stump did give me a PB last year, 24 inches, so.
Wow.
And we thought
bigger fish
this
year.
one was big. I mean, this is 23 and a half.
Yeah.
That is a beauty.
Yeah, that toasts my PB by 2 inches.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, there's some big ones. I've been trying all year, it's like it's been like 6 years now, I guess, with the kayak, and each year, it's gotten a little better. 2021 was a good year. It just seemed like every month they were getting bigger and bigger. I think I got up to like 22 3/4. And then the next year it went all the way till, I think November before I broke that, and I was like, 22 3/4 is pretty big, lower your expectations, but all year I've been wanting that 24 plus, but it might not happen this year.
Wow.
But no,
do you get weights at all, or any idea on what weights there?
They're 7-8 pound range. I think I did weigh, when I got that 24, like 3 weeks before, I think that one was 23 even that I got, and I weighed that one. It was that just under 8 pound range.
That's awesome.
I got a little scale I carried. It's always such a pain in the butt to tear out and everything.
Yeah.
But I decided, you know what? We hit that 24. We're going to start weighing them no matter what. Because it's kind of. Then you start thinking about, I guess it's the 10 pound double digit thing after that.
Yeah. So. When you get to the 10,
But, and I think one of them 22s, I'd put on a scale, because I was like, oh, this has got to be there. They're not as big as you think they are.
Right. Yeah. Deceiving.
So as far as techniques and stuff, your wacky rig is your go-to, or
it's normally like a follow-up. It's always tied on. It's got a dedicated rod. But like my favorite is the buzzbait.
Okay.
Getting it'll go through, I like a whopper plopper or a chopo too, but you can just take that buzzbait right through the grass, right over the log, and keep going for the most part, but the top water and moving baits, that didn't happen Saturday. It ended up being mostly that Texas rig, and I like that Texas rig with that curly tail. It works. That pretty much stays tied on. Spinner baits and the bladed jigs, the chatterbait. A new one this year for me has been like that big blade chatterbait, and running with that big zoom unitoad.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's like really big. Running it on a heavier rod, because it's like. But the pickerel and on the bass end, everything that's wanted to put that in its mouth, it's been 16 plus, and the pickerel, they just love that thing there. And they're fun to catch, not so much fun to try to hold, but.
Interesting. Very cool. Very cool. How many of those did you what did you start out with? Like, was it a progression? What was your progression like as far as learning?
Like for the longest time, it really was like harvest fishing, I'd kind of follow a bluegill season, I had a good yellow perch season, and started noticing, hey, these yellow perch, they really like this beetle spin, this is fun. And, I always kind of had like, I think my first bait casts were like a loose laser RS, this is my bass rod, and I had like a fluke on it or something like that, and like 12, 15 inches, I was like, man, I got me a bass, and, but I got tired of cleaning fish. and and started watching too much YouTube, and I mean, the bass are just fun to chase. It really is a chase. You're not throwing bait, and
Right.
and when things start to click and come together, this year, the past couple of years with that Texas rig, it's been a pitch it to the target kind of thing, and they hit it on the way down or as soon as it gets there. And I spent most of the summer before I figured out, this year the thing is, you need to drag it a couple of feet away from the target, and then they're picking it up, or a slow swim back,
Right.
And I keep trying to figure out a jig, and for whatever reason, I keep hanging them up down there. Same with crankbaits. I pick up a lot of grass. It's kind of grassy, I think, on the bottom, even though it's deeper, and it's probably just, going to have to pick the right running depth to make it work. But a lipless, works, and the hybrid hunter juniors, they kind of deal
grassless bill. Yeah.
Yeah, they deal with the grass pretty good, and they like those sometimes.
Very cool. Very cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but a little bit. I tried punching a little bit last year, and I hooked up one good time, and I lost it. I don't think I broke the line. It was like 50, 65-pound test. It was the big line. But I was looking at the flipping hooks this year, when I was going through my bag, and they're not like closed all the way around. And I think that the knot might have slipped through the eye there.
I gotcha.
You're putting a lot of time into that one, but I think there's probably some big rewards there. I think that's where that bigger than 24 might be.
Yeah,
it's in that grass. So
down where nobody else can get there, and
they're smart. They really are. They've probably been caught maybe one time before. I don't know. But they figured out that one the other day. It went for it knew what it had to do. It's like I got to do something with this fishing line, and it tried for the stump, and I know we're going to use this log, and so I got a weird wacky rig setup. It's like either 20-pound Power Pro Viz on the spinning rod, but this year I tried that Spinex P line. It's like red and blue instead of the high Viz, and I like that. And the leader's 17 pounds.
Okay.
On the leader, and it's just what I've broken some 12-pound leaders out there, So.
I was going to say, if there's a lot of wood and stuff that you're rubbing it across, that tends to not be friendly to leaders a lot. So,
and that's my big accomplishment for this year too, is FG knot.
Nice.
And out on the water. I've done a couple times on the water too.
Wow, that's pretty impressive. I
turn on some wind. I'm not going to do it. We're going right the other knot, but we might just not use the leader.
Yeah. I think I've only successfully tied that like once or twice, and that's sitting watching a YouTube pause. Okay, make the next thing pause.
Yeah, I think it's there's like a Salt Strong video, but like a pinky wrap on the right hand. That's working really good for me. But I use a little bit of tape.
Gotcha.
Around my finger, just because you got it so tight, and as I finish it up, I kind of make that tape reverse so the sticky side's out, and I don't have to wrap it around my fingers so many times. It seems to hold that braid a little bit better.
Interesting.
And so I already got the electrical tape because I like to backlash while I'm trying to. I will tape a reel every once in a while if I'm like, let's try this punching thing up again.
Right. So awesome work, dude. And with that, you have punched your ticket to the 2024 Paddle and Fin Open on Dale Hollow.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Heck yeah. So have you ever been?
No. And I haven't been on a real vacation in like 10 years either. I'm ready to get out of town. So I'm excited about it.
Awesome.
It'll be different, but
Yeah, Dale Hollow is definitely compared to my home bodies of water and everything. It's a lot different from what I'm used to. And the first time I was down there, I was kind of overwhelmed. I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but hey.
Is it kind of clear?
Yeah.
Clearer water? Yeah.
So and just that emerald green color. Oh, it's beautiful. And just the the scenery out there for just alone, the scenery is just amazing out there. So, but the fishing can be frustrating.
Yeah.
You hear all these great stories, and then
yeah, we all moved it back a couple of weeks for this year, right? Kind of to push it. Yeah,
yeah, we've been trying to
find that sweet spot.
Yeah, it's also a gamble with the weather,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow we always lose that gamble. I feel like I'm like just this last year where they were saying, "Oh, the weather's great down here," and then we get down there and it's like, "How is it 40 degrees?"
Right.
The first full week of April in Augusta is Masters Week, and if you're coming here, just bring everything. Bring the cold clothes, bring the hot clothes. You're going to need them. We're going to show you all the different weather in 1 week,
Every season in like 4 days. It's like, what? Awesome. But yeah.
I noticed I think MLF's going to be there like at the beginning of that month, so
interesting.
I might look at that, just see where things are at. What are they doing? Are they pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn, but
because
really looking forward to hanging out.
I was going to say the one thing about our tournament is that you don't need to win.
If
you get big fish,
that's
probably
what I'm
going to do pretty good.
That's what I would like to see.
Heck yeah.
But I'd like to catch smallmouth too. We do have those here, like right below me in the rapids. I've been one time. I caught one big bass, largemouth, not a smallmouth, but they're down there. Some bar terms.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of hard to access. There's some big old steps and crazy if you're going to do the float. But at some point, I'd like to maybe get that stern mount, and attack them up current, like you see the Jeff Little videos and stuff that. So, that would just be, but that would be a setup dedicated for that, so I don't know.
I have filled my shopping cart with the Osprey quite a few times. And, I have not pulled the trigger yet, but that is coming. I think I think in the next year or so, that's going to be something that happens, and I'm going to finally have a motor. I have never had a motor, so that's going to be a game changer for me, I think, as far as the water I can get to. And I know there's places that I want to fish and can't, or places where the current is too strong for me to paddle through. So
I like to pinpoint the most about the bow mount, but this kayak's getting old. I think I'll always keep it, but and every time one comes out, I'm like, that's gonna be the next one. But I'm really kind of getting excited about that PWR. And since I don't do a lot of formal tournaments, I could really be happy with like the plastic bass boat thing and the stern mount and the bow mount. And
there you go. Got a few big screens there too.
No. So I want to graduate. I really still don't understand like the 2D that well, but I do want to graduate to like some type of side scan or something. While the water's been low this summer, I've been marking all these stumps, because they'll spawn. It's up higher at the spawn, and they'll spawn on the stumps, down below the stumps.
Wow.
And, I got all these little trees on my craft just waiting for the spring, but because you won't be able to see them anymore. They'll be like 3 feet underwater.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say too, if you do get to graduate to side scan, that should help with that, because then you don't have to drift over top of every single one.
Thinking.
Yeah, you'll
that's
be able
what I'm
to
thinking.
see them.
Like I think I've seen what I can see with this. What I got, and I think there's some kind of what's that 360? Is that's like side scan all the way around or something? Or
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. What is that? Oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh my gosh, is it
the Panoptics?
Mega 360 imaging.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Humminbird. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe something like that. I don't know, but
I
don't think live scope's probably not for me.
That's I'm not going down that rabbit hole for a while, because I've gotten more confident with my fish finder over the past couple of years, but I mean, like, there's still, a lot to fishing in itself besides, the
I
scan.
think I've learned a lot without all that.
Yep, exactly.
You know, with the way the current changes and stuff like that, you know, just you know, this little grass island, you know, sometimes they want to be at the front of it, sometimes the back of it, but being able to figure that out, or it is going to change during the day, you know, that's where they were, and if they're going to do the same thing, this is where they'll be.
And that's just going to be your biggest tool right there, is just, you know, your knowledge, your skills, your experience, and just, you know, learning how to understand, you know, those water level fluctuations. I mean, that's just going to continue to set you up for even more success.
Yeah.
And if you can, I like, I don't even bring my fish finder on the river when I go out anymore, because I've learned that I do way better reading the water versus just staring at my graph the whole time. Because I mean, the Susquehanna just really isn't deep enough for sonar to make a huge difference, you know, or fish finders. So it's much easier just for me to look at the current and at the eddies and, you know, the ledges and stuff. It does help you find, you know, submerged boulders and stuff, but for the most part, the Susquehanna is shallow enough that you can usually it's if there's something big enough down below, you're seeing it on the surface in some way. It's creating some kind of disturbance. So
up on top of the water.
Yep. And I think leaving that at home has helped me more, you know, at least now when I go to the lake, I still definitely bring it, because then that's just, you know, there's no current there, and in my lake anyway, not much anyway, but so you're really looking for your structure there, and without that, it would definitely shooting in the dark a little bit, but
yeah, I don't understand the lake yet. You know, my spot's like 7 miles from the house. You know, the lake's a little further, and I catch fish where I'm going.
Exactly.
With that,
it's hard to leave that.
It is.
But I mean, and there's something too about learning every aspect of that fishery, and then, you know, that you're going to learn so much more when you get to that level of understanding of a certain a place, you know.
And there's a lot more to unwrap. You know, I'm maybe, you know, it's, I think like 12 miles up to the next dam. There's a couple other ramps. I've used one or two of them, and the creek, there's like 8 miles of creek. And, you know, I've maybe spend my time in 2.5, 3 miles of it. You know, there's parts of it I haven't seen in a while, or, you know, haven't bothered to go that far yet, you know, probably more of that next year, you know, just find more stuff, you know, what's the next thing. I guess like in the summertime, you know, maybe setting up on, I guess that's the ledges. I still haven't figured that out, but I got to figure out what they're doing in the summer, you know.
I was going to say, I mean, and I mean, that's one thing that fishing the local trail series that I do forced me to do, is because I am more than happy to drive that 15 minutes down to the river and fish the same area that I fish over and over and over again. But fishing that, you know, in the trail series, where some of the places we go are an hour and a half, 2 hours. I think the farthest place I've been is 2.5 hours for our series. But I would never go there otherwise, because I'm not going to drive 2 hours to fish when I could drive 15 minutes to fish. But it has taught me, you know, that, you know, the Susquehanna is a big beast, and there's completely different areas, you know, an hour or a half hour from me, you know. So it's definitely been a good learning experience doing that. So
cool. Yeah, I think I have like 3 I want to hit next year. You know, you all up in Dale Hollow, and then that whole just kayak adventure series. That just sounds like it. You know, it's going to be fun. You know, and you know, there's going to be a tournament plus. You know, and they're going to be start off here in Georgia. You know, over there in Thomaston, and then my son's up in Pennsylvania, so I'd kind of like to try that Susky one just to see it, you know.
Well, I was going to try the Susky one too. It's it's northern PA. It's pretty much the very top
I saw where it was today.
And my in-laws have a place that's about an hour from there. So I was just talking to my father-in-law this week about, I said, hey, there's a tournament coming up next year, and I might see if I can stay up there and fish that. So he was all about that. So I'm thinking that's going to be on my list next year too, as well. So
Cool.
Well, hopefully, if you make it, then yeah, that would be cool to get the fish with you. So
Yeah. I'll definitely let you know if I make it up that way. And,
cool.
It's
Heck yeah.
on the list.
Yeah, so yeah, kind of segueing into that too. I was going to ask, like what are going to be your biggest goals for 2024?
Yeah, you probably to see a little bit more. Go out a little bit more. I need to do some off the water stuff. My fishing shed's got a hole in the roof and a hole in the wall, and I need to take care of that. Because I really want a new kayak, but I don't want to get rid of this one. 2 will fit in there, but 2 will not fit in there right now. and
That was one thing that I was really sad to lose my HD, but my wife was like, "You're buying a Hobie, you're trading that in," and I was like, "Oh, man."
I think if it doesn't turn into a buddy kayak or something, my brother-in-law's picked it up. He's already got 2
cool.
kayaks. He's a little more adventurous, but if it doesn't turn into a buddy kayak or something, it'll probably eventually go. Right now, I don't want it to go.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Well, very cool.
Yeah. And learning some new techniques, I really feel it, jigs are for big fish. I really need to figure that out. Maybe some skipping.
Well, I know last year Brad Hicks had a good jig bite at Dale Hollow, so maybe Dale Hollow would be a good place to try the jig. And I still, for whatever reason, I don't have a ton of luck on jigs either. But
I'm just trying. It seems like it should be the same as the Texas rig, but it's not.
Yeah.
But maybe there's a little more movement to it. Maybe the moving part of it. But I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
that's what makes it fun.
Absolutely.
That's right.
That's the one. If there's one thing that this show has taught me is that I can talk to the best jig fishermen in the world, and for some reason, it doesn't translate into me catching more jig fish.
For sure.
But no, that's definitely some a technique that I'm still. If you would look at my jig box, you wouldn't know that I suck at jig fishing. But
yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I buy them, and the worst thing, you'll trailer them up, and I'm going to learn this today, and then I put it in the box with the other jigs, and that salty trailer's in there, and you come back and look at the jigs, later after some kayak life with a little bit of water,
Yeah,
I need some more jigs.
What happened? I don't know what happened. It just didn't.
Well, very cool. And as far as so you said you're going to look for a few more tournaments basically, and
I think those are going to be like more up my alley, just that I like those, like the meet and greet, kind of like the open y'all are doing. So I don't think I really want to chase a trail and stuff like that. Just restaurant life, Saturdays sometimes hard to come by, and Sunday and all that. I thought the whole picking a day, I thought that was cool with this, and I heard of, I think somewhere in Ohio, somebody runs a trail like that, and that would be pretty interesting. I think that would help a lot of working people out, So.
Yep. So yeah, that's kind of based off of what is called like the Gerby series, so the grassroots bass yakin series. So like there's different states that'll do that, but I was like, that's actually pretty unique because ahead of time what dates they are, and you have to sign up by a certain time, but you're like, I could choose this date, but what's the weather going to be like?
Well, I know, and we didn't really talk about that. How'd you choose the day that you fished this year? Yeah.
So, whether it's, so you got your major and your minor period, right? I look at that, whether it's, Farmer's Almanac or something to it, whatever, it's a little bit of confidence, So the way that shaped up, for that first couple hours of fishing, you were missing it with those earlier days, it was already almost over. And I really had my eyes set on Sunday, but it was my granddaughter's second birthday. So that was out. And I was thinking, well, maybe Monday, but for whatever reason, Saturdays have been fairly decent days for me. And it timed, and I was like, I'm going to go with Saturday, and the wind's not, there's a little bit of wind, not too much. And that all changed. It ended up with like 10 to 15 on the wind. But it wasn't too bad on that. So,
and that was one thing with the HD that I did find was that thing did sit up high enough that the wind does.
Oh yeah, you're going everywhere. Coming out of the grass flat, the current was and the wind were the same, and it gets shallow, so you'll pick up speed there, You got that paddle out like a sail, and I looked over at that screen, and I'm going 2.7, with wind and current, and I'm like, wow,
Hello,
it's saving me some work.
But so that it changed up on you though. So you picked your day going off of factors, and then that wind picked up, and the front was a little bit more than what they thought it would be. But I had the day like with the front coming through with no rain, and just starting off with that 23.5, and okay, I'm happy with the day now. Monday was, Sunday was nice. Monday was nice, but I'm not second guessing the day after the fact with a 23.5. That worked, Right. And
the bent hook was the killer there, like I just could have had the limit in the grass and maybe not got. I almost lost it.
Oh, but it's definitely a good learning experience too, because you figured out why you were having that issue. Whereas some people just could have been like, it was just a bad bite, or they just weren't hooking up good. Like sometimes we can get so wrapped up in what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong on the water, or whatever, we forget to kind of look at the simple details, be like, oh, my hook isn't even right. Well, that explains everything, so definitely an awesome learning opportunity.
I think like a tip I would have, like some of the earlier tournaments I've done, it's in the spring, and I'm catching them on this, but hey, let me watch this video, the top 5 baits for the spring, and this is what I'm going to go out and do the tournament with. I've never thrown this before. The wacky rig and Texas rig might sound boring, but that's what's working. Pick that one on tournament day, and play with the other ones on another day.
There's a saying in one of the clubs that I help run is the wacky rig cashes checks.
Yeah.
As simple and as stupid as it can be, man, it cashes checks.
Good follow-up. And one thing I found out about it, a follow-up, I don't use the ring, so I can switch quick. I keep a couple rigged up with the Nico. Sometimes they want that, but it's almost always black. But if for some reason they miss it, I take that black one up real quick, and I'll pick up like a baby bass one or a watermelon one and just throw a different color, and 9 times out of 10 they pick up that secondary color.
Huh. Interesting.
That's been a big help with that.
I never even would have considered that.
You throw the same color pretty much.
I throw black all the time, and then I keep the other colors. Sometimes green pumpkin out in the grass water, a little clearer, but they like black. I'm trying to build confidence in white, not on the Cinco, but in just white baits, and because the water is usually like stained, and I hear a lot about white. And sometimes it works, but it seems like most of the time it don't. But
I was gonna say it depends on the type of stain that you have too. Like sometimes black is better for that. It just it's gonna silhouette. Oh, I use the JJ's Magic. I'll tip with that. I really think it just they don't have hands, so I think it just piques their curiosity. What is that? I got to touch it.
Yep.
When you were talking about figuring out about the bent hook and everything, I mean, there's definitely times, and especially in tournament situations, where I'm gotta make casts, keep making casts, and then I'll reel it back in and finally look at my lure and realize that my trailer is either down around, and I'm like, how long have I been throwing it like that? And
or I like to have it pegged, and like, why is the bead way up here?
Yeah,
I thought that was a bad. Oh, I thought that was a bad leader not making that noise.
Right, and it feels completely different too. Like if you're pegging a
Yep.
Texas rig weight, and then that peg is way up there, and your weight's doing all sorts of funny stuff. You're
Yep.
like, oh, was that a bite? No. Whoa, what is that? And then you get it up, and then you realize that's what's happening. Definitely. So good idea to check your baits and.
Yeah. I'm glad that worm came off on that little fish. It made his little 10.5 inches important to me too.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we are closing in on an hour, so appreciate you coming on, Andrew. But
I had fun. This is it'll be awesome. I don't know if I'll be able to listen to myself in the truck, but
I never listened to the ones after. I'm like, I don't have enough time to catch the ones that I really want to listen to, let alone go back and listen to myself. I'm like, but yeah, no, it's definitely fun to have you on, and I love hearing where you came from and how we helped, because that's why we keep doing what we do, is knowing that we're helping people learn and awesome.
It's a show for everyone. If you've been fishing a long time, I'm sure you still take stuff away from it.
Oh, absolutely.
Just little gems everywhere. A lot of shows out there like that, and but by far one of my favorites. I look forward to Mondays. So
awesome.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we wanted to give you a chance to shout out social media. I know you said you were starting to play around with that a little bit. So
I mess around on the Instagram, and sometimes it automatically goes over to Facebook, but it's just Andrew_Watson_fishing, and a lot of it on the, it's good for me to look back on, year to year, I guess, what do they call that, a vlog or whatever, just more me keeping track of me, and if you want to look at it,
very cool.
I'm having fun with that. I like taking the pictures, and messing around with that. I want to get more into the GoPros and stuff like that.
Yeah.
See where that goes. Yeah.
You can have a lot of fun with that. That can be a big rabbit hole in itself too sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I might have to take 2 less rods just to have time to mess with that. That just looks like, and for everybody that does that kind of stuff, because that YouTube is just like a library card for that fishing, and I really appreciate it. People put a lot of work and time into it, and they got real jobs too,
Yeah, no, just the video editing time in and of itself. That part takes lots of time. So
lots of time, lots of dedication, lots of trial and error. Yeah,
well, it helps a lot of folks out for sure.
Oh yeah,
appreciate it.
It does.
Yeah. The amount of information that's available is just mind blowing. Because when I first started, and I'm still kind of like this way, I still am shy to go up to people I don't know, and I would never. And I always, before I knew anything about fishing, I was so worried that I was going to come off as the guy who just wanted to steal your spot, or really just kind of just pull it, trying to get information like that, when I just wanted to learn. I didn't want necessarily to show me exactly where you're catching them, what you're catching them on. I just want to learn, how are you working that bait? Like how, because I know I'm not doing it right, but if I can watch you do it. But I was so nervous that somebody was going to be like, oh, you just want to steal my spot. So I never approached anybody about it. So I, in the same respect, didn't really learn anything either, because if you can learn some by trial and error and time on the water, but but if you keep repeating the same mistakes over and over,
you're not learning.
You're not learning, and you're probably learning to not like the sport, because it's.
I think if you're not learning, you give up on it, and
And I still, that one of my main regrets to this day is that I took my daughters out before I knew what I was doing. So when they were ready to say, let's go. Yeah. And then we didn't catch anything. And they're like, okay. So they learned, and now that I know what I'm doing, I'm like, come out with me. And they're like, I don't want to go. And so I kind of missed that window. And So if I could do it over again, I would have waited a little bit to drag them along with me because I feel like
it
they
might
would.
come around. It really might come around full circle one day. My son's in his 20s there, and just since moving to that Reading area there, he's found him this little spot, where, he's catching, some rainbow trout and a little green sunfish and stuff like that. And it's just cool to see him get into it. I didn't see him that much into it when he was younger,
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That stuff's genetic. All right.
Now I can say that, my youngest daughter has started at the summer camp that I counsel at. I started fishing as one of the side activities. And the first year I was like, I'll bring 6 rods with me. And if I get 3 kids that want to fish, I'll be happy. It was like, I could not believe the amount of kids that wanted to fish. Like they're like, well, okay, you can have that rod for 5 minutes, but then you got to
you got a line running for the rods.
It was crazy. So the next year I brought like 13 or 14 rods, and it was still like that. And in that process, my daughter kind of saw that I did know what I'm doing now, and I was able to help all the kids catch fish, including her. And now, so I think that really helped. And she's still much rather go play soccer than fish, but it's not as much pulling teeth to get her to go with me. So
it just takes that one fish. I mean, nothing feels like it, and then, a few more and you're like, man, I figured something out, and that's it. You're done.
Oh yeah.
You'll keep fishing.
That's right.
Yep. I just went out, the local river keeper here, had a youth derby day at a lake near us. And, it was they provided the rods. They worked with some youth angler, and I have the guy's name, and I'm gonna have him on here too. I talked to him about coming on the show, but they had probably 200 rods and reels set up. They just did worms. Worms and bobbers if you wanted them, and so they had them set up for that. And they stocked catfish and some bass and a couple other things in this lake. And just watching those kids light up when they caught the fish. And I think they had prizes for the biggest fish and the most fish, and there's age group categories. And just watching those kids, I'm like, I know that some of those kids got hooked for life right there. Like this one, I bet you he was probably 6 years old, caught like a 26-inch carp, and I still on like a Barbie pole, on like a
little number 4 hook,
tiny little hook. I'm like, I have no clue how that stayed on there, but he got it to the shore, and I ran over and netted it. I had like a bass net, and the carp barely fit in my net,
fitting in there.
But he won biggest fish, but he was 6, and oh my gosh, the look on his face, and it was awesome. So just
you remember it forever. You really
I'm thinking I might take a Barbie pole with me next time. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, Andy, it's been awesome. Thanks again for coming on. Congrats again, and definitely looking forward to having you down at Dale Hollow. That's always a fun
I was
event,
looking at it. I think it's like 12 hours away, but pull it.
Wow, that's so. I was wondering. I figured it'd be closer because for me it's like 13 hours from Pennsylvania, but I guess
it's we're kind of on the other side of the mountains here. You kind of got to get up and go that way. Down about mid-state on the state line, But
it
looks like.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a very scenic drive.
So sometimes I got this weird thing with heights lately, like those ravines and stuff. But I'm gonna pull it off.
All right. Well, good.
Heck yeah.
So
awesome sauce.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me on, and the tournament's cool, and I hope a lot of people keep doing it,
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yep, we will continue to do it as long as we are able. So that's another thing that for me because I always enter it, add my $10 to the pool, knowing that it gives me incentive to get out and fish. There was
it's tough, it's no kind of it's a monthly fishing tournament, everybody can fish,
Yep. So, well, again, Andy, Andrew, thanks so much for coming on. And this has been another episode of Bass Fishing for Noobs, where we bring you the techniques, the tricks, and the tips to help you rip more lips. You guys, see you next week, and thanks for joining us.
Y'all have a good night.
See ya.